Hello guys, this is Fred from Profile Prog, and today I'm talking with Nick Barrett from the great progressive rock band Pendragon. How are you doing, Nick?
Yeah, pretty good. I got a bit of a throat infection and I've had a cold for about 5 days. You know, it's pretty well a normal sort of thing you get just before a tour. You get, it's better to have all this stuff before you go because when you get this actually on tour, it's a nightmare.
Yeah. Any snow
So,
over there right now?
no,
No?
uh, no, we've had tons of rain and loads of storms. I mean, where I live here, it's quite open to the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic, you know, the prevailing wind is straight on shore from the Atlantic here, so you can get some pretty furious gales going on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no snow, never.
Uh, I've never known any snow down here,
Okay.
maybe once a little bit, but generally speaking, this gets, because it's got the Gulf Stream coming across it, Cornwall usually gets the most sunshine and the warm weather of anywhere in the UK.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, first, back in September 2019, you guys released a gorgeous special collector's 40-year anniversary box set. Can you quickly describe its content and what's so special about it?
Well, the special thing about it is that it kind of bookends our career in one notch forward from the Jewel album. Um, I did try and actually find the original tapes for the Jewel, but we don't have them. I went back to the studio, they didn't have them. So the next best thing was the World album, which I had the reel-to-reel tapes, which have not been taken out of the case for 25 years. That's a pretty incredible thing. And of course, the oxidization of the tape means that it sticks together, and you have to then get it baked in an oven by some guy who professionally does that. And then he turns that into sound waves, which is like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of little sound files that Carl then stitches all together. And it then made it possible for us to re-record the drums with our new drummer, and then do the same thing with the last album, Men Who Climb Mountains, as well. We recorded them both with Vinny as a kind of a celebration, really. I mean, sort of some people, one guy sort of said, "How dare you replace the drums of Craig Blundell?" And we said, "Well, we haven't. That version still available, but we're allowed to kind of do something to celebrate our 40 years,
Hey.
surely, if you don't mind." And so, we re-recorded the drums for those two albums. It was a very exciting thing to do.
I
I
bet.
did a lot of the keyboards, redid the keyboards for the World album because Clive was on tour at the time, and there were certain sounds I wanted to get and just achieve something with that album. So it was kind of bringing those two albums up to the point where they could be a celebration, and also three live albums from a London show that we did, scanning a lot of the music that we played over the last 40 years and some songs that we haven't played for many, many years, like Excalibur, or songs we've never played live, like I Walk the Rope. I think we've only played it once. So we played some kind of like unusual stuff as well. So we tried to make it kind of a little bit different from what people might normally have heard from a live album. And of course, the artwork with Simon Williams. We got Simon Williams, the guy that did all the albums in the 90s.
Oh, beautiful.
And yeah, and we just wanted to make something, a beautiful thing again, that people can put on their lap and they can flick through the pages and see
Yeah.
all these photos and stuff they may not have seen before. So, I mean, I was absolutely delighted with it. I really was. And I think, everyone that's had it so far loves it. So, we were very, very pleased. It took a lot of time, and we spent a year mixing it, backwards
Wow.
and forwards, changing bits and pieces, like moving something by 1 dB or half a dB. It's not quite right there, but still trying to keep the live energy of it as well. So, it was a lot of work, but You know, it's like all things that are creative like this. You know, eventually you hope that it's going to be something that people will enjoy as much
Yeah.
as you do.
Now about the new album, Love Over Fear,
Yeah.
that was just released on February 8th, if I'm correct. This is Pendragon's 11th studio album, right?
I haven't counted. It
Oh,
could be.
I think it's 11. Can you please describe the concept, if there is one?
Well, the concept, it wasn't so much the direct concept. It was the sort of idea of the album. I felt over the last few years a lot of albums had become. I mean, I've done it as well. I don't think it's a bad thing, you know, but they're sort of very political and they're very kind of anti this or anti that, and it's become quite negative. And it's been, you know,
Yeah.
there's a place, I think, for politics and social comment. I mean, Bob Dylan, you know, he really made a career out of complaining about stuff, and you know, and there's a place for that. You know, that it has to be told, but there's times when people just need something a bit uplifting. You know, which has a lighter side to it, something beautiful again, you know, with beautiful sounds and beautiful melodies and beautiful artwork, which, you know, makes people feel, you know, good about the world and themselves a little bit, you know, just for a while to get away from all the, you know, all the negative stuff, I think.
Yeah.
And that was the sort of raison d'etre behind the album as a whole. And Love Over Fear was, you know, the concept of that being that, you know, in the end, love conquers fear.
Yeah.
And you've got one or two things. I've always said you can run a band with love or fear. I mean, I don't, you know, mean that kind of all airy fairy. I mean, you know, you either bring light to a situation or you bring darkness. And it's kind of like that. The fear is the darkness and the love is the light. And there's a lot of that sort of spiritual angle in the album, and that whole kind of bringing something to the world. Everyone has a responsibility to do it. Some people don't. They just don't. Some people bring, you know, a lot of blackness to the world, and they just are determined that's what, you know, you get like trolls and things on the internet. They're just really negative people.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
you got to combat that to keep the darkness away.
Someone who don't know Pendragon's music ask you to describe it. How would you do that?
Um, it's kind of difficult. It's like trying to describe the color blue. If you're an alien and you come from another planet and you don't know what anything in this universe is at all, I guess. I suppose you would first and foremost say that it's melodic. It's melodic and it's soulful, which is, and emotional. That really is where we come from. Um, I would say, from a technical point of view, I'm not really so bothered about technical stuff. I'm bothered about things being in time and things in tune, but you know, a lot of my favourite albums have got some quite rough edges, and they benefit from having those rough edges because they have the energy. If you try and kind of technically get rid of all those things in a recording or a band, sometimes it becomes too sanitized, you know, and you lose that. I mean, some of my favorite albums are actually quite rough sounding records in a way, but you know, you grow to love them because they appealed to you when you were younger. You know, you know, think. I mean, I know there's bits like of Genesis albums where, you know, I can remember finding this bit in, I think it's Can Utility and the Coastliners, where Mike Rutherford plays a couple of really duff bass notes, but you don't notice in the context of the song, and it doesn't matter. You know, there's a limit to trying to get technical perfection, but the biggest challenge is trying to get soulful projection, I would say. If you can reach people and you can move them with your melodies and your soulfulness, as far as I'm concerned, that's achieved the goal. And that was another thing about I felt with music at the moment. I think it's been through quite, let's say, I would call it a masculine um, influence in a way, which is kind of probably more technical, more scientific or mathematical in its approach. And I think it was time for maybe more of a feminine kind of influence to come into music again, which was more emotional, more melodic, and more something beautiful again. And it kind of just counteracts what we've had for the last, I think, maybe about 15 years. I think it's been quite sort of a technical dominated scene, shall we say.
Who's the artist behind the album cover?
It's a local girl called Liz Saddington. We have a place quite close to here called Boscastle, which is a small like fishing village with a harbour. I mean, it's a beautiful place, very
Wow.
English, and you can almost sort of imagine smugglers and things there. It's a very pretty, very popular with holiday makers. And when we first moved here, we went to visit, everywhere around here. And Boscastle was one of them. We went to this art shop and saw these pictures. And, about 5 years ago, well, it was just after Mountains. I thought, for our next album, I want this sort of vortex idea with maybe animals, and I was thinking maybe birds, butterflies, or something. Didn't quite formulate the idea. It was kind of a bit of an ethereal sort of idea, concept. And I went to this shop and I saw some of her pictures, and they were almost exactly what I had in mind, but it was all very water-based animals, and it was perfect. I mean, I wanted something that had a kind of feel like Trick of the Tail. The album cover. It's
Yeah.
basically it's yellow and brown. If you actually told somebody, hey, this album cover is yellow and brown, a lot of people say, that doesn't sound too great. But when you look at it, you just think it's just perfect. It's just such a gorgeous combination of colours. And I thought just having two simple colours, blue with a little bit of green, is really could be something special, and maybe it will have the same sort of feel the Trick of the Tail gave to me, when I was a kid. So we worked very closely with Liz. She used to come round here every 3 or 4 weeks with some new ideas, and it took about a year and a half. I mean, she doesn't work quickly like me. I don't work quickly. We work very slow, because we deliberate over colours and sounds and images and thanks, Ross, and the detail. And this was the whole kind of thing. I wanted an album that had some detail. I've seen so many album covers in the last few years where someone's photoshopped I call them the wish you were here type covers, which I think when Floyd did it, it was incredible because there was no Photoshop. The guy with a bowler hat with a face missing and a briefcase on fire, that kind of thing was amazing. But then everyone started to do it over the last 10 years, say, and, there's tons and tons of those kind of covers, like photos manipulated, in some way. And I thought, let's just go back and have something painted by a person with a paint box that they it's real, it's got some soul in it. And talking to Liz, we talk a lot about the ethereal side and the spiritual side of painting or making music. We talk a lot about this and how, the energy that comes through you goes into that finished thing. So, we were very much on the same page when it came to, getting the ideas formulated for the artwork.
Yeah, I thought it's beautiful. Absolutely. It's
Yeah,
important to talk about the cover, the artist, because it's part of the whole, right? So,
exactly.
yeah. So who took part of the writing of the songs, the lyrics, the music? Like, are you the only one in that whole process?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, all here by my lonesome. But that's I mean, I like it like that, and the rest of the band like it like that. I mean, when Clive first joined, we'd had some bad experiences with, trying to write as a team. It worked very well in the early days, but, we were all a bit kind of naive and, hey, come on, let's play this. Yeah, why not? Let's check a power chord in here. Yeah, brilliant. And it was very kind of muddled, but in a good way. I mean, it was fantastic to do. But, I think as you get older, you get less tolerant of people's creative interjections with things. You write something which you think is a very pretty melody or something, which you've got an idea for, and someone comes along and says, I think, I mean, we had this one keyboard player who said, I just let it go into free fall once. I just said, let's just let this go, see where it goes. And we started off with this, like, I just had this idea. It was like a melodic thing. He said, yeah, we should put like a Frankie Goes to Hollywood bass thing over that. Get. Like, okay, that's one thing. And then, he said, yeah, no, I think we should go into like a sort of Pat Metheny jazz thing. And by the end of the day, I just looked at this thing and just said, man, this is just a complete turkey. This is just rubbish. It's not really saying anything soulful or anything considered or thought out. It's just, to me, I hated working like that. So when Clive came along, we said to him, we're not really looking for any more writers. And he said, that's fine by me.
Yeah.
Do my own projects. I'm quite happy to, not do any writing. And it just kind of like ended up, I did more and more of the writing. Peter does his own projects. And so it ended up, I did all the writing. I really do enjoy that, having that sort of control over, piecing something together. I think if you've got the vision, take a song like Water, it needs to create a sort of an atmosphere which is based around the sea. So the lyrics need to tie in with the way the guitar sounds. The guitar needs to tie in with some sounds, the way the keyboards are. It's going to go in a certain way. And to have that sort of focus is, it actually used to terrify me when I used to go to, not the band we've got now, but, in the very early days, if I used to go to the band with ideas and just think, crikey, I wonder where this is going to get pulled around to, because it does get pulled around, and you can feel almost slightly sick. It's a really horrible feeling like your music's being pulled somewhere you don't want to go. So I've been very happy over the last sort of since the World album, really, making music like this, and it works. The rest of the band are happy to go along with that. I present the band with demos of the entire album, and they bring their things to that album, and that's the way we work.
Good.
Some bands won't work like that. Some bands are just a total democracy, like Genesis with Phil Collins, Mike Rutherford and Tony Banks. Fantastic combination. It worked really well. Other bands, it doesn't.
Yeah. Now, if you compare Love Over Fear to the rest of the discography, like, how does it stack up?
Wow. It's always very difficult to really judge your own stuff in that sort of meter it, really, because you get so close to it. You can't really see the woods for the trees at this kind of point. I mean, you sort of know it's your favorite album because it's the one that's freshest in your mind.
Yeah.
And the other ones that you've been with for so long. I mean, it's a bit like, I suppose, a pair of jeans that hey, it's really nice to go and buy a new pair of jeans. Wow, fantastic! You're all excited about them, and your old jeans sat there in the in the wardrobe there, don't get much of a look in, but you kind of still know that those old jeans are really comfortable, and so it's part of you. So it hasn't got the novelty factor. The new album's obviously got a novelty factor. How does it stack up against the other albums? Personally, I'm going to say this, but I always think I think it's the best album we've ever done. from certain points of view. I think some of the vocal performances, I could never really have imagined myself being able to do those, and they just came out. I mean, Starfish and the Moon and Whirlwind being particular cases in point, because they're quite exposed with just the piano and the vocal. But come out they did, and they sounded like they did. And I am still, even now, quite surprised. I don't quite know where they came from. Somewhere very, very untapped in my psyche. I mean, almost something kind of spiritual. I almost felt that these came from somewhere sort of high, something higher, you know, than us on this earth plane in a way. Something sort of came through with this. And it's the same with the lyrics, and it sort of reflects in the way the lyrics are, because the lyrics are very spiritual as well. So I'm very happy with it, yeah.
Good, great stuff. You're just about to hit the road again for quite a large tour in many different countries, including here, Canada. Thank you very much. How does it feel to be able to promote your own music, you know, live and meet the fans?
Well, I just went into the bank today because we had to open a new bank account, and the girl that I was talking to, she said, you know, I was asked about the what it is we do. I said it's a band and we do this, that, and the other. And then right at the end of it, you know, she said, you know, I don't know if I could do that. You know, I have to come home to my comfy home. And I said, I'll tell you what, this is the best job in the world. It's incredible. You know, the thing is about most people look at this and they see the good sides of it. They see, it must be brilliant playing your guitar and getting up on stage. And that really is. What they don't see is the problems. I mean, 90% of what I do is stuff like, I mean, we've just had T-shirts delivered, and the T-shirt's slightly off. So, and we're 2 weeks away from the tour. So, you know, we've had to get on I've got 45 boxes of T-shirts in there.
No.
And these are the sort of nightmares that you get. I mean, we had some CDs that were faulty. You know, once they've been sent out, you don't know where they are. You don't know who's getting those. You don't know if there's 5 faulty CDs or 5,000. You know, it could be an absolute disaster, and it's the one window of opportunity that you've got, you know, since the last album. It's a big statement, it's a new album, it's a big tour, there's a lot riding on it. I mean, the cost of the whole thing is terrifying. The whole thing probably costs, with the album and the tour, you're probably talking of about £150,000, which I don't know what that is in dollars, but
almost double.
This is the scary bit. It's money we don't have. So, you know, you sell some albums and then that pays for something, and that's how it goes. And I won't know until we get to May whether it's going to sort of pan out okay. So it's quite scary. But, you know, to be honest, we've been here before. It's been like this for the last 40 years. And it's very much a deep roller coaster. You know, the lows can be quite difficult, but the highs are incredible. And I know the moment we get on that tour bus and you shut the door, you can't do it. That's it. You can't do it. All you can do then is focus on, we're on tour. Yeah. You can focus on playing and meeting people, and then it starts to take on a life of its own. And it's incredible. You start to really talk to people about the new album and everything, and it all starts to then, you know, make so much sense.
Yeah, nice.
And it's a great thing, and that's the best job in the world.
Pendragon is well known to be extremely generous when playing live. Long sets, great encores, and what not to like about the VIP performances. About these, like, I've attended numerous concerts, but your VIP experiences are far the best ones that I've had a chance to attend. The last one was about an hour plus. You had, you know, you met the fans, signing autographs. It lasted for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Is this what Pendragon is all about? Like a band that loves to give back?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same on the cruise to the edge. We did the cruise
Yeah,
to the edge. You know, people were coming up to us and say, you know, like, how come you're eating in the windjammer here, where like, yeah, the public are eating? We said, well, we don't really know. We just kind of ended up here. You know, people would come up to you and sort of say, you know, it was a great gig last night, or I bought your CD 30 years ago. I mean, you know, it's like the VIP things. The last thing I cannot stand is people feeling like they've been ripped off with
yeah.
something.
Like,
Yeah, it doesn't. It's never felt like that. I mean, we know how hard it's been to accomplish. Even you know, I mean, we're a small band, to, which is a good thing actually. I kind of like being like this. It'd be nice to sell a few more albums because then, you know, Peter could have two sets of guitar strings when we go on tour, which would be nice. But you know, generally speaking, our connection with people, you know, when you're 80 years old and you look back and you think, you know, we gave everything we could to this, and we talked to people, and we heard their stories. I mean, we talked to a lot of people, and we about their stories. You know, we've had some incredible things that people have told us about them.
yeah.
You know, it's not a one-way street here. We don't put ourselves on any sort of pedestal or, you know, want to get things. The only time we might want to get things done is if we got a sound check and we got it, we're up against time or something like that. And that can be a bit of a nightmare. But, you know, as far as the public's concerned, I mean, lots of them now are like our friends. I mean, like you know, we know you very well. And you're part of the Canadian experience as far as we're concerned. You know, everyone's always saying, oh, yeah, is Fred going to be there? And da-da-da. You know, it's part of the thing. And we have, you know, people like you all over the world, people like Victor in Argentina and, you know, Didier in France, and people who are very connected with the band. You know, sorry if I've left anyone out, by the way, there. Very connected with the band who make this, you know, an incredible thing. It's an amazing thing to be able to go to other countries and see people, you know, who you know, really. You can have a beer with them and you can sit down and you can have a bit of a laugh with them and you talk to them about what things they do. They ask you about things you do. And it's an amazing thing to have those friendships. When you're 85 years old and you're sat in that chair and you're just looking back on your life, those are the things that you're going to think of, that are going to think, yeah, it was great to connect with those people.
Yeah.
Because if you actually kind of thought, oh, you know, just brush them off, get it done, sign this and move on to the next person, it's totally meaningless and it's horrible. And I think when you're older, you bitterly regret that. But you have to cherish this, and people are there to be cherished, you know. We had it when we had the B&B thing here. People would come here and stay here, and you know, we really quite liked it. It's a nice, you know, we like people, you know, so it kind of fits in with our way of thinking.
Great. Love it. Another general question. Pendragon is known to be a progressive rock band. Is it still true? I mean, nowadays, many progressive rock bands try to stay away from the term prog. So, is it even important to be categorized in a particular genre?
Well, I've never been particularly bothered by the name. I mean, some people, it's kind of a bit arrogant to sort of say, you know, don't call us progressive, don't call us this, don't, as if they can imagine that they're that unique and individual that, you know, that they, it's like pretending, you know, like, should we pretend we shouldn't call you progressive? Or I don't know what the deal is there, but, you know, the music that I loved stems from those bands of the 70s. But I mean, well, Pink Floyd, Genesis, and Camel were my three.
Okay.
Uh, I liked bits of others, but those were my three really. And I mean, our drummer back then just said, "Oh, I think this is called progressive rock." So the name was sort of bandied around in those days. But I mean, I don't really mind either way. I just, it's just a great thing. If people like your music, and they're coming to see you live, and they're getting something from the shows. You can call it whatever you like.
Yeah.
There's no point getting too precious about it. You know, it's kind of on the other side of the coin. It's kind of a nice thing that people have a kind of music that they can. If you sort of said someone, "Oh, this is kind of progressive music," people have got a rough idea what you're talking about. So, you know, if you said, you know, I don't know, it's jazz and they don't like jazz, you know, maybe they're slightly put off by those terms. So I suppose it's a double-edged sword, but I think in our scenario, it's been okay. It's been an okay thing to.
It gives like a direction to like rock.
Yeah.
It makes more precision, or yeah.
Yeah.
What's the future like for Pendragon? Like, what can we expect in the near future?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, really, at the moment, you know, with this album coming out, there's that, and there's the tour. That's as far as I see. I never really have long-term plans, and I sort of go with the flow of life a little bit with this. I mean, the albums come out when they're ready.
Yeah.
I don't sit here just with a blank sheet of paper thinking I need to write another album. That's not really. That's not what I enjoy. I mean, and it's detrimental because, you know, like some people will be thinking, we've got to pay the gas bill, we need a new album. You know, I mean, that doesn't even always correlate. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make a living just because you make a new album. I mean, often, you know, it doesn't for many bands. It's you know, a complete pain in the neck, and they lose thousands of pounds making it. You know, so it doesn't always correlate like that. But the plan is. There is no plan, and that's the kind of the good thing, because I mean, you know, when I'm sort of doing the music, everything goes into that, and everything when we're doing the shows, everything goes into that, and it's all about that moment. I mean, there is nothing else. There's no kind of plan to take over the world, or there's no plan to, you know, conquer Japan, or it's just. It's always in that moment, I suppose.
Okay.
Until, I mean, you may get an idea, and we think, you know, it'd be a really good thing if we went and played a bit more in, you know, South America, or, you know, those places. But you know, that's not always easy. You can't always just do what you want.
We're almost done, but I have a few more questions that only require one-word answers.
Okay.
So it's good for your cold. Who's your favorite singer of all time?
Oh, crikey. That's probably George Michael.
Oh, didn't expect that.
Very soulful.
If there was
outside of the normal, you know, what people would expect.
Yeah. If there was one artist, dead or alive, you would love to play with, who would that be?
Has got to be Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, nice. Yeah. The song you wish you had written.
Oh, crumbs. There are thousands. Supper's Ready, Genesis.
Oh, nice. I know you won't like this one, but do you have a favorite track on Love Over Fear? You know, maybe a favorite one that you really enjoy playing.
I like playing them all.
You can pass.
All right, Water. I'm going to say Water.
Okay, nice, very nice. What is the greatest venue you ever played?
I think it's probably the Marquee Club at 90 Wardour Street in London. That place was unbelievable.
It must, yeah.
Yeah.
Where are located the greatest Pendragon's fans?
Oh, crikey. The world.
I was expecting world, yeah. I was hoping for world. You personally, are you more into vinyl, CDs, or digital music?
Vinyl. Yeah, the ritual of vinyl as well.
Yeah. Last one. One word to describe Love Over Fear.
Amazing.
Amazing. And you're amazing, Nick. Thank you
You
so much. Thank you
oh,
so much for accepting the invite here on Profile. It was an honor to have you here, and I really look forward to see you guys again in Quebec very soon.
yeah, thank you. Brilliant.
Okay,
All
take
right,
care,
cheers.
buddy.
Okay, cheers.